it's loud. So, as you guys can see, I just started Daisy Haites. I am 14 pages in. I do have my annotating tabs here in case I decide to annotate. And I think I might because I saw one line here. This is going to be spoilery. It is going to be spoilery. I'm going to put the little disclaimer. I'll make sure that I put that in the title because I will be doing some spoilers for this series. This is my first time reading it, and I really didn't expect it to I didn't really expect to like it. I will say already, again, I'm only 14 pages in, girl. You're not 14 chapters in, and it's so different from Magnolia Parks. For one, at the bottom of the pages, like we started from Daisy's point of view. So at the bottom of some of the pages, there's like little numbers, and so then you go to the bottom of the page. So like there's an 18, and 18 says FWBS, and it aligns with the sentence. Miguel frowns. He doesn't like our arrangement. 18, and then you go down here and like you read what the little side note is. I guess it's called a side note, but there's side notes in here. And she did this in Never, and I found that really interesting because there'd be like little asterisks and like all these little things at the very bottom that align with the top. I like it, but I don't like it because sometimes I miss the numbers and I'm like, wait, hold on. There's like 4 of these, but I haven't correlated it. I don't know if she does that with every character. I think she just does it in Daisy's point of view. Yeah, she just does that in Daisy's point of view, which is really interesting because there are 3 points of views in here, which Magnolia Parks, it was just Magnolia and BJ. And then this is Daisy, Julian, and Christian. And Julian and Daisy are brother and sister. So it's very weird to me. I'm now chapter 2. And like Christian and Daisy are like friends with benefits basically at this point. They're like doing the do, but like Daisy feels like this connection to Christian and she doesn't want to just be friends with benefits. And so she lives with her brother. Her brother is like her legal guardian. And so his point of view is like weird because he's like talking about how his sister and Christian are like messing around. And I'm like, I don't like, that's weird to me that like as the brother, like you're talking about this in your point of view. Like, I mean, I guess because he walked into the kitchen and he's just like, tell me you look like that from exercising, because he just came from doing the do with Daisy. So obviously he wasn't exercising. He was in the room with Daisy. So he looks like that because they were getting it in. And so his brother, her brother, Julian, is saying, tell me you look like that from exercising. And then it goes on to say, just getting my arse, A-R-S-E, I guess arse, handed to me by your sister. I'm like, that's like, and he's like, glad to hear it. You go easy on her? And he's like, nah, bro. At first I did, but she's fucking hectic. I'm like, you're having this conversation with a dude that's messing with your sister? Like, I don't know. That was weird to me. And he even says there's like a weird tension. I'm like, well, I mean, I feel like that just made it weirder because I don't know. That's kind of a little bit weird to me that they were having this conversation, obviously knowing what him and Daisy were really doing, and they're just gonna, like, what? Like, what? But the reason why I think I'm gonna annotate it is because, like, it literally says here, he squints at me playfully. You tell me, baby. And then it goes, My heart skips a beat when he calls me that, but he doesn't mean it how I want him to. I'm living for the toxicity because it's good in books. Not so much in real life, but it's great in books. I actually I have been watching Gossip Girl now because this does give Gossip Girl vibes. But the guys in here, they're not giving Chuck. Because rewatching this as an adult and seeing the way that Chuck acted, I was just like, ew, like he's gross. He's really gross, and we just allowed this. Like this was normal behavior. We were just like, oh yay, Blair and Chuck. Like no, he was gross. I don't know why they ended up together. I don't know why. I honestly don't even remember why they ended up together. Sorry, that's a spoiler too if you have not watched Gossip Girl. This is gonna be full of spoilers, obviously. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue reading with my little squishmallow. And that's the plans for today. So I'll check in with you guys because this is gonna be a long one because we're on book 2, and technically there's 5 books, right? And they still haven't called me about a book because I am missing Daisy Haites The Great Undoing. Other than that, I have all of the books, and I'm gonna marathon it out. Well, I'm not gonna marathon it out because obviously I have to take breaks. Like I have kids and stuff to do, but I'm just gonna be reading them back to back to back. So yeah, this is gonna be like a long spoilery vlog. Okay, y'all, it has been a couple of days, honestly. Well, not even a couple of days. It's like it's going into the next week, right? So I'm laying in bed, obviously, with my like emotional blanket, my little squishy that I got. And okay, first and foremost, in the last clip, they were actually working out, so it wasn't as weird as I thought it was. Because in the last clip I had just gotten to like chapter 3 or something like that of Daisy Haites, and I was saying like, oh my gosh, it's just like really weird, like the brother is talking to Christian, the love interest, about like doing his sister. But no, they actually were working out. And it still was a little bit weird because of what they were talking about beforehand. So just reading that, I was just like, this is weird. Like, this is weird, right? So I'm now a little bit further into it. I thought I wasn't liking this book, and then we got to Christian's point of view, and I'm just annotating away, y'all. I literally damn near underlined the whole entire book, yo. Like, the way he just, like, he is so in love with Magnolia, but he just eats her up. Like, he literally said, because she came to, like, oh my gosh. Okay, so she comes to his place basically in the morning, and he said she basically comes to the morning because it's like she's afraid to be with him in the dark, and he's just so in love with her, right? And oh my god. Then Henry, one of their friends, comes up and lets them know that BJ is also on his way up. So they had like a whole conversation, I guess, before this. And, you know, he's thinking about like the past and just like how he loves her, but like she's BJ's basically. And then as soon as Henry mentions that BJ is coming up, he goes like, from his perspective, he says, she sits up, eyes all wide and hopeful and pathetic. She tucks her hair behind her ears like a dog whose master is coming to the door. Like, that's how he's describing her with BJ. And then I also underlined that he mentioned that the fact that she's the only girl I've ever been with whom I haven't had sex with says more about her than if we'd actually done it. he is head over heels in love with her, and she's like in love with BJ, and BJ is in love with her. He even mentioned that BJ can't see straight about her, but neither can he. But like he's a lot meaner to like he will say shit just to say shit to kind of like get at her, because I guess he's just like, well, it sounds like he's just like upset because she is not choosing him. And he's saying technically he had her first because they knew each other first, and then BJ came along and she was in love with him before BJ came along. But he didn't realize he loved her until she loved BJ. So it's like, dude, like you kind of missed your chance there. So I mean, I guess like I don't know, but I am starting to like it a little bit more. I just don't know if I like Daisy's perspective so far, because her perspective is like nothing's really happening, and then there's like these long footnotes like at the bottom, like I was explaining in the last clip, that at the bottom it's like 18, and so there'll be like a sentence and then there'll be like 18 next to the sentence, and then you have to go down and you'll see like the 18, and then you'll read like the extra thought, basically. I guess it's like an extra thought, right? Whatever, it's like an extra thought. And I don't know, I'm just not, I don't think I'm in love with her perspective just yet. Like a lot of YouTube videos where I heard about the series, people say that they prefer the Daisy Haites books, but they still like the Magnolia Parks, but they love Daisy Haites more. And I'm like, right now, I feel like I am the opposite. I am like reading this and I cannot wait to get back into Magnolia's perspective. So I feel like I am kind of reading this a little bit slower. I have listened to like some audio thrillers in the meantime. Like I listened to a couple of those, and I'm still working my way through. But I think now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, well, let me continue, especially because of how much I've been like underlining and like annotating since I've got to his perspective. Like even Julian's perspective, I feel like I'm just gonna be highlighting and underlining a lot in Christian's perspective versus Julian and Daisy's perspective. There was one thing that I did highlight from her chapter, but that was just about it. I think that was what made me start annotating this book, was the thing that I underlined. So basically, Daisy and Christian are like FWBs, which I think I explained to you guys already. So nothing important has really happened. The timeline is the same as Magnolia Park's timeline, but now we have like different perspectives, different views. So I think that's why I like Christian's perspective more. Like I'm not saying I love him as a character, but I think I like his perspective more in this book because he was more in the other book, and Daisy wasn't really, like, she was mentioned, but like she was kind of standoffish, like, I don't like you, Parks. But it also kind of makes sense now why she doesn't like Parks, is because she has a thing for Christian. Like she's starting to really like feel feels for him, and he is still obsessed and in love with Magnolia, who he can't have. So again, I think that's why I'm more interested in his perspective, because he was more in the Magnolia Parks book. So it's just kind of like you're getting that back story of why he was or is the way he is. So I think I appreciate his chapters a little bit more, and it's making me power through it a little bit better so that I can get to the next Magnolia Parks book for you guys. But yeah, it's gonna be a long vlog, and future editing me is gonna be upset because I tend to ramble even in like the shortest of vlogs. So yeah, please comment, like, and subscribe. I'd like never say that ever. Or welcome back to my channel. I just realized, one, I never gave you guys an intro to this video. I just kind of started rolling with it and never said hi. So, middle of the video. Hi guys, how are you doing? I am not doing great. If you can hear my voice, you probably know that I'm congested. For some reason, I guess spring happened, but it didn't really happen because it's cold. And last week we were wearing shorts, now I'm wearing a sweater and I'm congested. So my allergies kind of just snuck up on me, and I thought this allergy season would honestly be better because, as you guys know if you've watched any of my previous videos, I get allergy shots. So I didn't think it would just smack me in the face the way it smacked me in the face. I needed to film an intro and kind of update you on what is going on here. I also do have a hot tea that I will be sipping on to give you guys kind of a update. A hot tea, also known as a hot toddy, if you will. So this may be a little bit unhinged, a smidge, because I think I put a little bit too much. It tastes great, but that's liquor. So anywho, I have just washed my hair. I've been kind of in a little bit of a slump because I don't even know if I would call it a slump. I think life was just lifing and I just didn't have time. I'm trying to catch up on all of my hobbies right now that I want to do while I'm taking a break from school because classes will be starting soon. And I'm also trying to figure out what I want to do with school right now. So, you know, I'm trying to do a lot in this period of time where I do not have school because this is a great opportunity to just do me and do things I want to do. I do want to finish school, but it's just hard to be motivated to do it when all you're doing is school, if that makes sense. It can be a little bit too much, but yeah, we just washed my hair, so we just have a t-shirt on my head right now. Gotta put some leave-in conditioner in there and twist it up and put my bonnet on to go to sleep. So, hi guys. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, so let's get into it. When I first started this vlog on my camera, that's another thing, I'm on my phone right now. I have to look at the footage on my camera because I had just wrapped up another video. Life has been lifing and I honestly have not been reading. I've been racking up on audiobooks, honestly, because it's just been a lifesaver, but now I'm congested and it's just no audiobooks, straight physical books for right now. We finished Magnolia Parks. As you guys know from previous clips, we finished her. I started this vlog when I was, I think, halfway through this one just because I loved it so much. Didn't annotate it or anything. I was just kind of going with the flow. I ended up listening to the last part of this on audio because I just could not put it down and I needed to finish it that day. This is a 5 out of 5. So with this, Magnolia Parks is, I wouldn't want the type of relationship they have. I don't know if this would definitely be classified as like a romance or what, but they're very toxic, Magnolia and BJ. This book here follows Magnolia. It kind of introduces you to like her friend group. There's BJ, who she's dated, loved since she was 16. He cheats on Magnolia. And so now they're not a thing because he cheated on her. But they're still a thing because they still love each other, but he cheated on her. So, you know, they can't be together because there's now this distrust. Which, you know, of course, you cheat, it's gonna be distrust. So they can't be together because there's the distrust. Also, there's a friend, Christian. Christian is in love with Magnolia. All right, Christian is BJ's best friend. They all met in boarding school, a little bit before boarding school because their parents were friends. For some of them, some of the friends in the group, some of them met in boarding school specifically. like kind of said that their parents shipped them off to boarding school because their parents were just like too busy, so they call each other their found family, because like they don't really come from like a loving family or a family like that even really acknowledges their like existence, basically. So they're like rich but with parent issues because their parents kind of just give them money and don't give them time and love. Magnolia, she is Russian and black, so her mom is Russian, her dad's black, and she has a sister, and her dad is like her dad definitely isn't there. He's always like partying with like the musicians he works with, because I guess he's a record executive, something like that, but he's in the music industry. And one of the big scandals that we find out later on in the story is that her dad is actually cheating with like the nanny, and Magnolia's basically like her mother figure, because her parents weren't really there for her, so her nanny kind of became her mother figure. And so the dad and the nanny are sleeping together. They have been for like 6 years. But part of the reason why Magnolia is not keen on taking BJ back is because the nanny, she was like, well, you know, he cheated on you, kind of like she don't like him. And so because she doesn't like him, Magnolia values the nanny's opinion. So she's like, I don't think I can really get back with him. But now she found out that she's been sleeping with his dad, right? So this is why this book is like toxic drama. I started watching Gossip Girl in the next book that I'm about to talk to you about, but I think it was too much of a distraction with that book. Wouldn't be for this one. I'm gonna have to go back and annotate this for sure, because this is, so far, I love this one the most out of what I've read so far. So, well, I don't even know if the most, because I'll get to that in just a second. But so she doesn't want to take BJ back because, you know, he cheated, and her nanny is kind of telling her like, you really shouldn't take him back because he cheated and he's not shit, basically. So she doesn't, and then she finds out the scandal, and so she's like, well, maybe I should take him back, right? So BJ, he messes around with like a lot of girls to kind of cope with losing Magnolia. Magnolia dates around, but she doesn't mess with guys. Like, she just has these fake relationships to kind of get on BJ's nerve, basically, or to like show that she's kind of like over him and they're not together anymore. But part of the relationship, or being in a relationship with her, is like letting BJ basically be on the side, like still being able to come over, spend time with her, be in her bed. So basically it's like they're together, but they're not, because he cheated. So they still do everything together. They still like go to movies together. He still drives her around. He'll take her out to eat. Like, they still do everything very much together, but they are not together. Then this big thing comes out with the dad cheating. So she's currently in a fake relationship with this guy named Tom England. And Tom agreed to this because he is actually in love with his brother's wife. His brother passed away, so his brother's wife, his sister-in-law, is a widow, and he is actually in love with her. And he's trying to, I guess, get over those feelings because it's not right. And he shouldn't be in love with her, but he is in love with her, so he's trying to get over that with Magnolia, so that's kind of why he agreed to. But they've kind of started to have a little bit of a feelings for each other in this time with them fake dating. So now Tom is kind of like in a contender where she's like starting to like him, but she's still definitely BJ. And a lot of this book, Christian is really mean to Magnolia. And I was wondering why. I was like, why is he like really mean? Apparently they have like a little thing. Magnolia doesn't call it a thing because she's like, well, you know, I loved you first before BJ, but you didn't love me back, and now I'm just BJ, BJ, BJ. And so now he is in love with her, and he's just like, well, you know, she did love me first. So BJ's like, well, she's like forever mine. So there's this whole drama with that, and you don't really get into why he's so mean to her until you kind of get to like Daisy Haites, because Daisy Haites has Christian's point of view, and these are happening at the same timeline. So I actually found out that you can kind of tandem read it. I didn't tandem read them because I didn't know you could do that with these books, but apparently you can. And I saw something for the next set of books where I might tandem read, but I don't know. I have to think about that. I have to think about that because these books are set at the same timeline, but different views, like Magnolia, BJ, Daisy Haites, Christian, and Julia. So I just was like, why is he like so mean to her? So he's mean to her a lot in this book. He insists that there was a thing, and she insists that like nothing really happened between them, basically, or she's not letting BJ know that anything happened between them. So he's a little bit upset about that because he's like, yeah, we did have a thing. And she's like, we did not have a thing. Like, that kind of goes back to how she dates around. She's like, mess around, where BJ messes around, but he doesn't date. So you get him like toxic, very, very toxic. So she, at the end, after we find out about the scandal I was telling you about, she tries to give BJ another chance. And so throughout the whole book, you're trying to figure out why they're not together. So then they lay it out that he cheated. She, throughout this whole book, thinks that he cheated on her with this model, Tara, whatever her name is. I can't think of it right now because I'm reading Daisy Haites and there's someone else. And Daisy Haites, her name starts with a T too. So he basically insists that no, it's not her, because it isn't her. And so this whole time she's just like, well, who did you do it with and why did you do it, right? And so they end up going on a date, like kind of like, okay, well, we might be together at the end of this date kind of thing, while they're on Grace, the friend group. And they're on a boat and they're having a good time. And then she brings it up. She's like, I just really need to know, like, why did you do it? Like, why? And he says, because I wanted to. And so she ends the date right there. She's like, because you wanted to. Like, she was like, there's no way that BJ loves me and he just did it because he wanted to. Like, there has to be a reason. So she's kind of hung up. Magnolia's kind of hung up on the fact that there needs to be a reason, a specific reason why BJ cheated on her. And he's like, no reason. I just wanted to. And he keeps insisting that it's not this girl that she thinks it is. So Magnolia ends the date there, and she's just like, I'm done. So, you know, they continue fighting. Try to do a quick summary of this so this is not like super duper long. But basically they just continue fighting. And so it gets to the point where it finally revealed who he actually slept with. And he slept with Palil, if that is how you say her name. But she is Magnolia Park's best friend. And he slept with her. So now she feels betrayed by like everybody, because it came out that who was it? I don't think was it Henry? No, it wasn't Henry who knew. I think it was one of the other people who was close into their group who knew. Why am I drawing a blank? Why am I drawing a blank? But it was someone in the front group did know that they did it. And I think it was Joan. I want to say it was. But they knew that they did it together. And and they kind of hid it from them. So now I feel like their friend group is kind of shattering because there's all these lies and secrets. And it's not mentioned until Daisy Haites, though. Christian says, like, we never, as a friend group, we never kept anything from each other. We never had all these lies, this mistrust. Like, we never, ever did that. So I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out going forward, because I'm still reading Daisy Haites, but we're still in the same timeline as of right now. Another book here. And it's like after Magnolia finds out everything. One of the quotes here says, "Can you die from a broken heart? Do you know?" Because she just feels really heartbroken. Of my bones, flesh of my flesh, he's killing me. Loving him is killing me too. And I'm afraid, because how many loves really do you get in a lifetime? How many chances do you give it before you let it go? I'm letting it go. This is the end of Magnolia Parks. We are now halfway through Daisy Haites. We have been highlighting and annotating. This one took me a minute to get through. And I think it's because life was lifing. In the beginning, I was not getting really into Daisy Haites, to be completely honest. And in Magnolia Parks, we get a glimpse of Daisy. Like, she's not really in here because Daisy's not really a part of this friend group. Daisy's like her own, right? Oh, this book is thicker too. I just realized that this book is thicker than that. So she's mentioned here and there because, like, when they're going out and stuff to the clubs, Daisy is there with Christian, and Daisy was really rude and mean. Daisy was kind of mean to Magnolia. And I was like, wait, like, why is she, like, mean to her, though? Like, why is she kind of giving, like, mean girl energy? We get to Daisy Haites' book now. And so, beginning is kind of slow. I realized that we have 3 points of view. We have Daisy, her brother Julian, and we have Christian. This book is different, too, because at the very bottom, in Daisy's chapters only, like, there's little cliff notes like that there. So you have to go, you'll read a sentence and you'll go down there and read, like, another inner thought of hers. And she did this in Never, so I didn't know she did this also in these books too, especially because Magnolia Parks, she didn't do that. She didn't do that in Magnolia Parks. So she did that in here. So I think that's also why it's a little bit longer, is because you get more of, like, her actual inner thoughts in those chapters. Daisy's chapters kind of just begin, and you get more of a look at inside of her life. So with Daisy, her parents were killed in front of her. We're halfway through, so you don't get to the whole situation until a little bit throughout the book, but her parents get killed in front of her. Her parents are crime lords, and so now her brother has taken over the business. So this happened when Daisy was 8 and her brother was 18. So she still remembers it because, you know, she was 8, so she remembers being around her parents and stuff like that. But essentially, because they were shot and killed, Julian is now, like, her older brother, but he's also her guardian and her best friend. Like, there's a quote from his point of view in one of his chapters where he was like, essentially, she's my kid, she's my sister, and she's my best friend. And I was like, oh, like, that, you know, that's such an interesting dynamic that the two of them have as siblings, because they're more than just siblings, right? Like, that's kind of like her dad, her protector, but also her best friend. Like, she tells him, like, everything. Like, they're extremely close. So some of his chapters in the beginning, Julian, they kind of were just talking a lot about Daisy. So I was kind of like, why do we even really have Julian's point of view? But now we are getting into a little bit more of Julian and who he is. And I'm loving that. Definitely not the beginning. I didn't like it. I was loving Christian's point of view from the beginning. So Christian, his point of view, what's happening here is he is in love with Magnolia, and he kind of feels like he lost his chance because she loved him first before BJ, but he didn't love her. He didn't know that she did, so he didn't really love her, and now he does. And he says in one of the chapters too that he kind of wishes that Magnolia and BJ would just get back together, because then there's not like this kind of open thing with them where like they could be a thing, because she's not with BJ. So he kind of wishes that they would just get back together. Throughout this book, he also is realizing that he slowly is in love with Daisy, but he is truly scared to be in love with her, or to even admit that he is in love with her, because he thinks he's still in love with Magnolia, for one, and two, because Magnolia doesn't love him back and he loves her. He's scared to put any effort and any feeling really into Daisy, because he feels like she is not going to reciprocate that she loves him back. But very early on in Daisy's chapters, we learn that she does love him. And so in her chapters, we realize why she kind of is the way she is with Magnolia in the book is because she is slowly falling in love with Christian. So she does not like Magnolia. She doesn't like the fact that, you know, she feels that Magnolia is leading Christian on, and she's just like, why would you do that? Like, why? Like, you must not really know him, because if you really knew him, you would love him. Which I was like, oh, wow, she's really falling for him hard. And essentially, they're just like friends with benefits, essentially, because they do the do, and they do hang out and do other stuff, but they're just friends with benefits. And so they don't do jealous, they don't do angry, they don't do fighting, but they've been fighting and they've been angry and they've been jealous at each other a lot throughout this book, because they are in love with each other. But he is scared of getting rejected by Daisy, so he's not going to admit it. Daisy is scared because she thinks he doesn't, because she knows he loves Magnolia. So that's kind of where this is going with this book. So this is toxic too, because the two of them are just like not communicating with each other that they love each other. And then there's still this thing with Magnolia where he's still hung up over her, but he's in love with Daisy. So Daisy also has her first love, Rome. He kind of comes back into the picture, Romeo. He comes into the picture. I tapped one thing he said, because he doesn't have his own point of view, and I kind of wish he had like his own point of view, because he literally says here, for fuck's sake, Daisy, it's what I see in my mind's eyes every night before I go to sleep. You don't think I know what it looks like when you're in love with someone. So they're arguing here because he thinks that they're getting back together. So essentially essentially her and Romeo cannot be together, because every time they're together, her brother Julian broke them up, because every time they're together, someone tries to kill Daisy. So he's like, fuck that. I'm not gonna let you guys be around each other, because Daisy always almost gets killed when y'all together. Like, no. I'm protecting my sister, so you guys cannot be together. So he basically like broke them up. And he talked to Romeo's mom, and they kind of both agreed, shipped him off to New York, he left. And so there's kind of this grudge with Romeo and Daisy, because he asked her to run away with him because her brother wouldn't let them be together. And she said no, because she didn't want to leave her brother, because they have this really close, tight bond. So she was not going to just leave her brother. She didn't want to leave him alone. So that dynamic is kind of crazy, because she also found, they were broken up, but she found him in her bed with another girl, Tavia Jones. So she threw a lamp at his head, and I was like, yes, girl, throw that lamp. Right? Toxic, but we love it in a book. We love it in a show. We don't love it in real life, okay? Real life, that's not... Leave it alone. in a book, yes, this is entertainment for sure. So she threw a lamp at his head. So they've been fighting, and he went to New York, so he comes back in. And now that he's come back in, she's been fighting crazy hard with Christian, because obviously Christian is jealous of Romeo. And Daisy's kind of like, well, you know, we don't do jealous, so why are you jealous? Like, why are you jealous? And he can't say why he's jealous, but he doesn't want to share her, essentially. So she just went on a trip because he was in another trip, and he was telling her how he was with other girls in this trip. So she was like, you know what, we're gonna go on a trip. So during that trip, Romeo was there. So they get in a fight because Romeo is there on this trip with Daisy. And so he's asking if they're together, like if she slept with him. Obviously she did. So that's caused a whole fight, and now they went on another trip. Yeah, they go on a lot of trips. Her brother, again, he took over the family business of being like a crime lord, and one of the things he does is he steals art. So now they're in Paris, and he got commissioned by somebody who wants him to steal this art piece. One thing about Miss Jessa is she must really like art and fashion, because in Magnolia Parks, Magnolia, the character, describes everybody and what they're wearing, like, to the T. Like, she really must be into fashion, because she, like, just has these and I'm like, not a single clue in my head what that looks like, but go off. And same thing with the art. I'm like, not a single clue what art you're talking about, but go off. And it is very heavy mentioned in the book, so I feel like I kind of just skim over that, because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not looking up what article of clothing you're describing right now. I'm not doing it. I'm not looking up what art piece you're describing. I'm not doing that, because then I'll be on my phone, and then I've been scrolling on my phone a lot and not reading, which is why I'm only halfway through Daisy Haites right now instead of a little bit further. Honestly, is I have not been reading it, and so I don't want to pick up my phone, Google to see what you're talking about, so that I can know what you're talking about, because then I'm going to start doom scrolling, and then I'm not going to read, and I'm going to be mad at myself because I'm not reading. It's not like it's not like I don't like the book, it's just I'm distracted. I'm very distracted right now. Easily distracted, I guess that's a better way to say it, is I'm easily distracted. Like, same thing with Gossip Girl, so I have to change from watching Gossip Girl while I watch Daisy Haites, but today I'm gonna just be like, F it, and watch Gossip Girl while I read it, because Gossip Girl's getting good. Julian's parts are kind of just now getting good, because we're just now finding out that, like, he kind of just messes around with girls. A lot of his point of view was just about Daisy, and I was just like, okay, well, I want to know about Julian. So, like, what was it? I think I highlighted it, because his chapters I was not highlighting and underlining as much, and I just now kind of started. So, like, chapter 35 with Julian, see, it was hard to even find what I was talking about, because with him I have not been really highlighting or annotating, because I feel like his viewpoint has mainly just been like, well, life has been so hard with Daisy, and Daisy, and it's like, I love that you're like a good, protective, supportive older brother, but I kind of want to know more about you, especially because in Magnolia Parks he is also mentioned, and it's mentioned that he almost had a thing with Magnolia, but didn't quite happen, because Magnolia cried because she was not over BJ, so she literally cannot do anything with anybody, because she's just not over BJ. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, she couldn't do, or she feels like she can't really be with anybody but BJ, because BJ was like her first, so she doesn't like want to give that part of herself, like she's kind of scared to, but she finally does with Tom England, actually. But after she does the do, she ends up going back to BJ. So like they're very toxic. Like very toxic. Like they're not doing it with each other, but like they spend a lot of time together, but they're not together. It's crazy. But yeah, Julian did appear here where he kind of almost had a thing with her, but he just couldn't. But he still checked in on her and made sure that she's okay. And that's why I was like, ooh, love me some Julian, because he's a crime lord, but he over here like, are you okay still? Like he checked in on her to make sure she was still good, because she literally just like fell apart and collapsed, cried on him because she just could not, because BJ. So when I saw that he had a viewpoint in here, I was hoping it would be like more about him, but we didn't get to like chapter 35, and now he kind of explains that like Santi, Romeo's mom, the guardian, he talked to her and they both agreed to send Romeo off to New York. But he also is feeling bad that he did that now, because on this trip Daisy is feeling sad because she realizes that she loves Christian, so she can't really be with Romeo. And Romeo is telling Daisy it's just a phase. Like, yeah, it's just a phase. And she's like, I don't know if it's a phase. I don't know. I really don't know. So he's telling her, go ahead, be with him. And she's like, I can't be with him. But we also get a look at a girl he used to be with, solidly. He mentioned how he had a good time with her, so I'm like, ooh, like maybe there's a thing with her, and maybe we'll get more of that in his chapters going forward, so we'll kind of find out more about him. And then I also underlined that he stated falling in love is like a cancer to people like us, gives you a weakness the whole world can see, gives the whole fucking world something to use against you. So that's kind of like his mindset. And so it's really interesting and to see that that's his mindset, and I want to know like more. I want her to dive deeper into this character. So hopefully we are halfway through Daisy Haites, so hopefully like halfway through here we get some more of like actual like Julian talking about Julian, not just about Daisy, because again, like his chapters here, I think I underlined it too, where he's talking to her and she's telling him that she never loved anyone besides Rome before, and he just feels really bad. So he's like, I think I made a mess of it all for her. He hates that. So it's kind of just all about like Daisy. And it's like, you could have just saved Daisy's point of view for Daisy's point of view. I don't think I needed really Julian talking about Daisy and his point of view. Personally, I want Julian to talk about Julian and why this sexy crime lord is the way he is. That's what I want to know from his chapters. And I want to know, like, give me protective older brother, like give me that, but also give me something else. We did it. We are finally here. Finally. We have finally finished Daisy Haites. Get close to me, guys. Okay. So. Whew. Alright, you guys. We have finally finished Daisy Haites. So I actually finally finished it on audio, so I do have to go back and like annotate that much of it, which is fine. As you saw in the last clip, I was annotating away. I haven't really updated you guys on what's going on in the book, but I have been highlighting, annotating away, and I'm so happy to finally be done with this. Not in a bad way. I just feel like it took me so long to read this, but again, I was in the middle of other books and stuff. A while to finish this, and I don't know why it took me so long to finish it. I think in the beginning I wasn't really feeling it because Daisy's kind of like, she's not like a mean girl, but like she doesn't come off as very nice, right? So she's not easy to understand, and I mean, rightfully so, because she never really had a mother figure. So she's kind of just like, eh. It started popping off though. I'm not gonna lie. I showed you guys yesterday when I was annotating, highlighting away. It really did start popping off, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Today I was listening to it with my headphones on, running errands and getting groceries. People will probably look at me like I was insane because I had the big old AirPods in, and I literally at one point I was like jaw to the floor. All right, we're gonna have to switch to my phone because my camera just died. All right, y'all, what is up? What is new? My camera died. Switching to the phone. All right, so Daisy Haites. It started popping off, right? Towards the end. The last clip you see, I was highlighting, annotating away. Didn't really explain much of what was going on, so we're gonna wrap it all up, and then we're gonna start another video for the remaining of the series. It's already the end of March, and I had planned to be done with this by April, so I think I am gonna do the tandem read, so I'll tell you about that in a second. So Daisy Haites. The ending, 4.25. No, 4.5. It was so close to being a 5. Well, no, I don't think it was close to being 5. Simply because Daisy, as I was mentioning before, her character, like, especially in the beginning, not like a mean girl, but like hard to like understand and like, really, because of how she just acts towards people, especially women. But when you get more into the book, you realize that she doesn't really have a mother figure because, you know, her parents died. But not only that, her mom didn't want her. So to know that your parent didn't want you, and they make it blatantly obvious, it's kind of like, you know, no wonder. And then she was raised by her brother, who is a gang lord, and so he's like, he is a good person, but he's not a good person. Like, he looks out for her, he loves her, all that. I know previously I also mentioned that I did not like his point of view. When I do a reread, because this series is top tier, I will be doing a reread for sure. Oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed with this world. And to think that I never was going to read these books. I never was going to read these books. I don't know why. Especially when they changed the covers. I was like, yeah, it's a sign that I'm not going to read these books. I was sleeping on it so hard. These characters are like engraved into my brain. Like, I love this world so much. But it makes sense now, his point of view. Because his point of view was kind of just like Daisy, Daisy, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I want to know about you, Julian. I want to know about you, because you're supposed to be like this gang lord, and I want to know more about you. So, officially, Christian and Daisy get together. They're together for like maybe 2 weeks. Daisy ends up meeting his mom. His mom kind of loves her. So everything seems to be going good, right? Of course. Everything's going good. Then it goes straight. Just straight down to the ground. Okay, so So they're together. Everything's going good, right? And then they get invited to Julian's 30th birthday, right? So it's like this big old party. Like everybody's there. BJ's there. Magnolia's there. And if you remember anything about what I told you previously, Christian is in love with Magnolia. And Christian is in love with Magnolia. Magnolia is BJ's girl, like for life. Right? Like for life. That's his, right? And Christian and BJ, they're friends. They're all friends. They're a part of a friend group. So they're there, right? Julian is talking to BJ and Magnolia. BJ doesn't know that Magnolia knows Julian. And so she's like, how do y'all know each other? Right? And so what happened was, obviously, Magnolia is never over BJ. So she was basically crying into Julian's arm. Like, he took her home. Like, it could have been something, but it was nothing. She ended up just crying all night long to him because she was upset about BJ. And essentially, Jules offers to, mess up BJ for her, if you will. Because, he can do this. And so she goes, well, would you believe me if I said that, we're in a book club together? I was like, Magnolia. Really, okay? And that's why this book, it's great, and why you could do a tandem read. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But Magnolia Parks and Daisy Haites happen at the same timeline. So we've kind of already seen some of this stuff happen in Magnolia's point of view. Now we're getting this point of view. So it's just like, okay. So Christian is next to Daisy, and he's into it. Like he's into it. He's in their conversation, like scoffing, like fuck you guys. And she makes this comment like, well, if anything goes wrong with this current love triangle, then you're like next in line or top of my list. Pisses Christian off, right? Pisses him off. And pisses Daisy off, because Daisy knows Christian. She knows him to a T. So she's like, I heard the scoff that he made. I heard the noise. I heard the breath. Y'all might think I'm crazy because it's just breathing, but I know this man. I know him. And that was the sigh and of a man who is in love with her. And so she literally like screams it. I know what I am to you. I'm just the girl you're sleeping with while you're in love with your best friend's girl. And then all hell breaks loose because BJ's like, you're in love with her? Like, done. And then he's like, well, did you know? Magnolia's like, of course not. I didn't know. So then, then they break up, and Daisy goes on this like kind of bender, like this sex bender. Like she's just doing the do with Romeo all day, every day, not even coming out for like sunlight, water, nothing. Like she's a full vampire enclosed in a room with Romeo. And that's all she's doing. So everybody's worried about her because she's not taking it well. Because remember, she loves Christian, and she's known that she loves Christian since like damn near the first page of this book. She has known that she has loved him, and he's like, well, no, I'm in love with Magnolia. I'm not in love with Daisy. He comes to the realization that he is in fact in love with Daisy, which, duh, you've been getting jealous this whole time. You decide to make it official with her. You don't want her with nobody but you. But now all of a sudden you just now realize that you are in love with her after she broke up with you because she realized that you were still in love with Magnolia. That is when he realizes that he's in love with her. I mean, everyone's been telling him. His brother was telling him. Henry was telling him. Everybody was telling him. And he was like, no, I'm not. So yeah, all hell breaks loose with that. They break up. She's going on a bender. She's like really depressed. She just ends up having sex with like everyone. Well, not like everyone, but like with Rome. And then her and Rome have a falling out because he is in love with her and she's using him, and he figures out that she's using him. So then they end up being done. And after that, then she goes and messes with Declan, who works for her brother and who is also older than her. And they had a thing back then where she told him that she was of age and she wasn't of age. So her brother wasn't having none of that, but he still likes her. So they had a thing when she was shit-faced. So he took advantage of that situation that she was shit-faced. And they did the do. And so her brother finds out. I don't even know how. Like, I read it and I still don't understand how he got it immediately. Like, Daisy was just laying down in her room, hung the fuck over. And she didn't say that she did it with him because they basically agreed after that her brother can't know. Well, I don't know if they agreed, but like Declan was like, your brother can't know. Like, Julian cannot know. And he just knew. Like, he is on some next level shit because he knew. Like, he was like, that's vodka? What else did you have from the cellar? And she's like, nothing. And he's like, nothing. Storms out the room. Declan! Screaming, you, my sister! Pissed. And so then he beats the crap out of Declan. And that becomes a whole thing because he beats him up, and then Daisy's mad at him. She won't talk to him until he apologizes, and then he apologizes, and yeah. But back to Julian because he is a gang lord. So a lot of this book, he's really in love with art. So he steals art, and he gets I think I did mention this, but like, somebody enlists him to steal art for his girlfriend. So he's married, but he has a girlfriend. And he's stealing art for the girlfriend. This man doesn't pay Julian. So, because he doesn't pay and he's trying to make a fool of him, his men are like, well, you gotta do something. You gotta do something. Let's get the kids. Because he doesn't give a fuck about the wife. Let's get the kids. And he's like, we don't do that. Like, we don't do that. We don't do that. They do. They do. They kidnap the two children. They kidnap the two children because they want their money. Meanwhile, Christian is still trying to talk to Daisy because he realizes that he's in love with her, and he realizes he doesn't really care about like her little bender and what she's doing. He just wants to be with her, and he still loves her. And while that's going on, the same timeline, Magnolia Parks, we find out that BJ slept with Magnolia's best friend, Polly. And she's kind of always had a thing for him because they're talking about it, and they're like, well, yeah, it's kind of obvious because like she spent this whole time talking about how back in high school when they were playing this game 7 minutes of heaven or whatever, how they spent too long in the closet. And so she's like, it was pretty obvious that the best friend had feelings for BJ. So now Magnolia has lost her best friend and her boyfriend because they did the do, and she's just done. So she actually leaves to New York. So that whole dynamic is unfolding between them. So now their friend group is kind of like not the same anymore because they're not talking to BJ and they're not talking to Pally because they fucked up. They did that. They weren't supposed to do that. So now their friend group is kind of fucked. So that's kind of what's going on there. But back to Daisy because this is okay. So she finds out that her brother kidnapped the children because the cop Tiller comes and asks for her help, and that's against Daisy's rules. Like, you don't mess with children, especially because of what her and her brother went through, having seen their parents get in front of them. They don't do that to children. They don't do any trafficking, any kidnapping, nothing with children. That was just one of the rules that Daisy has for his brother and his men. So she finds it out. And she starts working with Tiller, the cop. Okay? To get the children back. So they do that. They go find out where they're at, because she puts Find My Friends on Kiko's, I think that's how you say his name, Kiko, his phone. So then they find out where the children are, because he's been with the children. So she puts the Find My thing on iPhone, and then they track him, they find him, and so she starts injecting them, kind of like putting them to sleep. She gets to the children, and Roman's there. And Roman's just like, Daisy, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, well, no, what the fuck are you doing? At least that's how I see the scene in my head. Like, in my head, I'm just like, oh, like they're, oh, shit, okay. And so she points the gun at Rome, like, let them go. Like, you don't have to do this. You don't even work for my brother. And he's like, you're gonna shoot me? And so he points his gun at Tiller, like, and she's like, no. Abdomen. And shoots herself. She freaking shoots herself. And she's the doctor. She's the doctor. She's the one that works on all the men when they have like these injuries, because, you know, they're very much gang lords. So can they really go to a real hospital and get help? No. Daisy is the help. She's the one stitching and all of that stuff. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but she's in school to be a doctor. So she does the stitches and all that stuff. Like, she even put stitches on her foot when she got upset with Romeo when they were having their fight and he left, because he was like, I'm not doing this with you anymore. She like threw everything off the vanity, stepped in the glass, got all on her feet, and then she sewed herself up. She sewed herself up, okay, you guys? So she's the doctor, right? And so then everything fades back to her. Get to the hospital. She has a falling out with her brother. She's like, well, why would you do that? And he's like, well, you betrayed us. You betrayed the family. You betrayed me. So you know what? You went out, then you're out. You're dead to this. You're dead to me, basically. And she was like, yeah, you're dead to me. They're done. They're done. And now she doesn't have her brother. She has no real family left, because in his eyes, she betrayed him, because now he's out of this $7.2 million that he was supposed to get because he sold this art for this man, and this man did not pay him. Now he's out of this money, and now they're on out, and he's like, well, you know what? You don't want the protection. You don't want any of that. It's done. It's pulled. So now she doesn't have Miguel following her around. She doesn't have none of them, because they fell out. So she ends up moving into like her own place. And then Christian finally is able to see her, because he went to the hospital for one to see her, because he heard that she got shot. And Julian was like, no, like, you know, last time she spoke, she said, she doesn't want to speak to you. So that's that. Oh, even before that, I completely skipped over it, because I'm trying to do like a fast recap, so I'm not like talking for like 3 hours. Before that, they're at like a party or something. Yeah, I think they're at like a party, and Christian is there, and she's like, what is he doing here? And Julian's like, I think it's time you talk to him. So then they talk, and he tells Daisy that he is in love with her, and she's kind of like, well, no, you're just saying that to say that. And she gets him kicked out, because she just is like, no, like, you're just saying that to say that. Like, she's just really hurting and really struggling, because, you know, she saw what she saw, and he is in love with Magnolia, but he actually is not in love with Magnolia anymore. And he worked through that, because he talked to BJ, And then he talked to Magnolia and told Magnolia, like, you need to just let me be over you and not come to me, because basically Magnolia kind of baits him because she knows that she does know that he had a thing for her, and that he would be the one to tell her if BJ is doing anything, versus the other two boys. They're not going to say anything. So that also is whole part of Christian's point of view that I kind of just brushed over, because his point of view was just kind of like him reflecting and realizing that he was in love with Daisy. So, but that also is important to the story, is that he talked to Magnolia and was like, let me be, let me go, let me be over you. So he finally does that. So that's how he gets to the party, and he's able to just admit that he is in love with Daisy. But she's kind of like still heartbroken and hurt, so she's not really trying to hear it, honestly, because she's like, no, like, you're not, like, you're saying what I want you to say, because I guess everyone's worried about her. So I think in her head she's just like, oh, he's just worried about me, so he's probably just saying this to say this. Like, he doesn't love me, he doesn't, like, I'm not gonna believe it. So after she gets shot, she has this falling out with Julian, so we're back there. And so now she's living on her own, and Christian comes by to see her new place, to see where she's living. And then they talk, and then they admit to each other that they love each other. But Daisy wants out of the life, which I find is really interesting, because in the beginning with Rome, how she explains how Rome is like her love, and he kind of wanted her to run away with him and get out of the life. And she was like, no, I can't leave Julian. Now that she's had the falling out with him, she is kind of in his position now towards the end of the book, where she's like, I don't want to be in this life. I want nothing to do with this life. So, like, basically, Christian, if you want to be with me, we can't be in that. I can't have nothing to do with that life. And Christian's like, well, no, with me, it'll be different. I'll follow your rules. Like, you don't have to worry about none of that. Like, I'm not like your brother. And she's like, no, like, my brother said he would follow my rules too. And look what happened. Now we're not speaking. Now we're not even family. So that happens, and he can't leave the life. So they part ways, and they go 10 months without talking. And that's how it ends, basically, is that they have now been 10 months without talking. Then it goes into Magnolia's point of view. And Magnolia has just been in New York, and she's been messing around with Tom England, her fake boyfriend, who I guess kind of turned out to be her real boyfriend towards the end. And he ends up being done with her because she just cannot get over BJ, essentially. And so now she made this new friend in New York, and they go out partying, and they meet Tom England's friend Rush, who has a thing for Magnolia. And she just does the do with him, and she's like, she feels bad about it, but then she's like just trying to get over it. So now we kind of see that she's just been in New York on her own with her own place, and she's kind of made these new friends. And now she's kind of in the same predicament as Daisy almost, because she's kind of just using sex with Rush to kind of get over now not having Tom or BJ, because she did have a thing for Tom, but that ultimately got ruined because she cannot get over BJ. And so now with all that being happened, all that had happened, you guys can see why I'm so excited to go into next books here. And this next one, The Long Way Home, is kind of a thick one. So I did download it on my Kindle, you guys. So I'm going to start on my Kindle. I'm going to start a new vlog. But I think I'm going to tandem read it. This is going to be my first tandem read. So I'm going to start that vlog pretty soon for you guys. But I'm going to tandem read these because you can actually tandem read them. So in my next video, I'll try and include the chart that I have on my phone. I can't like turn my phone or anything because I'm on my phone. So I can't even look at it to tell you how that works. So we'll get into that in the next video. But I'm telling you guys now, I'm going to start the tandem read. So that's going to be the next video for the series because I am so obsessed. I'm so obsessed. So I need to finish underlining and tapping this. So I think that works perfectly too, because I tandem read. I can read this on my Kindle and read the physical book here and just highlight, annotate my little heart out and just be lost in this world. And then the last book, Into the Dark, I'll probably download on my Kindle too because that's a thick one. And then I can just transfer the highlights from my Kindle to the physical. Ooh, that was a crazy ride, especially because in the beginning, as you guys see, I didn't even think I really liked the Daisy Haites book. I didn't think I was going to be able to get through it because I didn't really love the character. But now I'm all in. I'm all in. I almost definitely didn't update you guys on anything. I almost didn't film any videos, so I'm just gonna have to wrap it up here, try to do some editing so I can get to reading because I am dying to know what happened. We'll be back with another part. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I'm definitely excited to do the tandem read for you guys because this is my first time doing a tandem read. Because the next tandem read I'm going to do is definitely going to be for the Throne of Glass series because there is a tandem read that you can do there. Anyway, that's for another day, another video. Thank you for watching this video. I have to look at the edits because I definitely said that I thought I was going to do it all in one video, but we're going to break it up. So this was kind of Daisy Haites Magnolia Parks, even though I didn't really tell you too much about Magnolia Parks because I was kind of finishing up on it. So we finished these two books here. I'm definitely gonna have to, cannot wait to like reread that. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that below. We're gonna start the next one, so I will see you very soon.